All right, we're back. I don't know what's happened to my internet. It's just last night and tonight as well. It's annoying. Very annoying.
Well, our favorite song. But for another time. So
where were we?
Already recording, and
yes,
can proceed. And Roger, shoot. Ajesh disappeared mid-question, so just go for it.
So I forgot
right.
where I was. I think we were talking about alienation and books and art as such, right?
And then college.
You were talking about when, yeah, you were in university
college?
and your friends.
Yes.
Yeah, so I think the thing is that, the friends come from different parts of different schools. So you see a lot. There are some familiar faces, but by and large, once again, you tend to be surrounded by people that you don't know. And I was, because I'd just come out of 6 years of not talking to anybody, I was still pretty green in talking to people. So I used to just sit quietly, and I was seen as a very quiet guy. A lot of people who knew me then, he says, "But you were so quiet then." I said, "Yeah, I was, because I didn't know what the hell was going on around me." But now, of course, people say, "What happened to you? You suddenly started talking." And I said, "Yeah, well, now I don't care anymore." So
You
I
don't
guess that's
care anymore. So
I,
you were afraid of talking, of your own voice.
yeah, well, it was a question of I didn't know what my own voice was, right? You don't know at that point. As I said, I'd been away for 6 years, sitting, quietly by myself reading. So now you're suddenly surrounded by people who are kind of behaving very differently from what I remember the kids in school. There were a lot of stuff happening. And St. Xavier's, when I joined that year, was the first year it went co-ed. So there were women there, and I came from an all-boys school. So that was a whole different dynamic going on there with all these women there as well. So you're not really, you're not. So then you get distracted, right?
You do. And there was one particular woman who distracted you more.
Unfortunately, yeah. Yeah. So it became
still with you, which I'm very happy about.
Yeah, now it's been 44 years now. So, I think at this point,
so this
we're
is
stuck
like
with each other.
This is like the Woodstock couple.
Almost, yeah. Almost, yeah. Yeah. There was actually one song from that thing which John Sebastian did. I'll paint rainbows all over your blues. Do you know that? He composed it on the fly, and he performed in front of 300,000 people. And it's a raw song, not really, because he's just kind of, jimmied it up almost. So that actually did cause a bit of a flutter back in the day. So
a flutter.
Yeah, for one.
So who got fluttered? You?
Yeah, I guess mutual.
Oh,
it rang a bell, I think, for both of us. So
okay, so where did you hear this?
On the Woodstock. It's on the thing. He performed it.
So both.
There are two songs on. Yeah.
You both watched Woodstock again, is it?
Oh, I have the DVD, so I can watch it anytime.
Yes,
I do.
But then, I mean, at that point, when you met in college,
that time there was no DVDs, no nothing. It was
no
music
nothing,
only.
yes.
So you could hear it, but you couldn't see.
Big tapes, weren't they? No, we didn't even have those. We had records. We had LPs. There, Rajesh is frozen again.
Yes, I guess so. But then again, he was talking about pretty good point there. Like, when you're in the middle of all these new people all around you, and you just don't know what's going on.
So you must have had some similar. Ajesh, you're back.
Yeah, I'm back. Yeah, sorry. I
Yes.
don't know what the hell's wrong with this
You
thing.
were talking
At some
about you
point,
behind your back. So anyway, you were saying nice things about you. So you'll hear them on the recording. So yes, Roger, what were you saying about that? All those new people all around you.
Yes, it's
Yes, we had that conversation about me going to college also. You know that alien.
exactly.
Yes, from school. And
I think it must be a common feature for a lot of people, right?
yes,
You're suddenly
Yes.
surrounded by a
I'm
whole bunch
sure
of
it's
new.
and if you're ragged in college and bullied and all the rest of it, it must be worse. I hope you were not.
No, I don't remember that. No.
Mhm. And how was the college? I mean, were you happy in college, or were you once again happy to get out when you were done?
Well, I didn't really have a choice at that point in time, and I think I did the wrong courses. I should never have been in that thing in the first place, and I wasted another 3 years trying to get my accounting degree, which was
Should you have done? What should you have studied?
I should have been in architecture or design or engineering or something somewhere. I was completely wrong for accounting. It was just not my cup of tea.
What made you choose that?
I think at that point in time in the country, there was this talk about accountants getting jobs and engineers not getting jobs. That was one. I think that was one aspect of it. I think the bigger reason for that was academically, I had crappy marks in mathematics. So yeah, there wasn't too many options. I should have done English maybe or economics or
You
something.
were not cut out for all those entrance exams, that rat race.
I was not cut out for academics. Let me put it this way. I was a rotten student. Yeah, so that academically,
You were not cut out for the system, Ajesh.
I was not cut out to be academic. I couldn't pass exams.
An architect with, if we had a different perspective on engineering and architecture, but we don't. We are all about the book. Wherever, in anything, any discipline, we are all about the book. Stick to the book. Stick to the textbook. No free, no free thinking, no freewheeling. This is what we are all rebelling against. That's when the alien becomes the rebel. But seriously, you should have done English.
I don't know about that really. What would I have done? Done English and done what? Become a professor?
Yes.
I can't imagine being in the system.
Professor and subverted the system.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. I have my doubts.
You have your doubts.
I have my doubts about being successful in
structure that let you subvert the system.
Yeah, who knows?
Roger was telling me the other day there's a job for a school principal.
Yeah, let's try that.
School principals are my pet hate, as you know very well. And and if I went there and the first thing I would do is subvert the system. And the next thing I would be shown the door. So what's the point?
That is unfortunately, that goes back to the...
I'm not going to take the trouble. So if I had somebody backing me, I'd start my own school, which I always wanted to do.
Really? I don't know that I actually wanted to do anything. I think this goes back to the sense of alienation, right? It's like everybody I talked to, they wanted to be a writer or a doctor or a lawyer, or they wanted to be something. I was kind of like, I'm here.
You just wanted to be.
What do you want me to do? I just wanted to just leave me alone.
You see, Roger, you see how much Rajesh and I have in common. I mean, why? And
I do get it.
I'm so thankful we found each other again after all those years. I mean, I was talking to Roger about how we last met at that function we had in my, for my niece. And you had come over with your son, and your son wanted to take those clay
All the
cups
pots,
home.
yeah.
Yeah. I think we
Yeah.
gave him one to take home.
I think he did take a couple home, if
He
I'm
did?
not mistaken.
Yes,
Yeah.
he did. He did.
Yeah.
And later I found my niece doing the same thing, that she would, whenever we went out to have tea or something, she'd want the cup.
Yeah.
So
I think so. Yeah. It's I found that, when we used to work together, I found that, talking to you, you were probably the only one other than Sudeep. You were the only person who actually I could talk to, and there was some connection there. With most of the other folks, I felt that, I could have a conversation, but there wasn't a deeper connection of any sort there. Like there wasn't a sense of uh, being able to understand what he or she was saying. And there wasn't the same sense of connection to a cause, right? So that's my biggest problem. I can't do a cause. I can't do the cause with the capital C, like looking after dogs, cats, kids, whatever. I can't do that. I can't put myself behind a cause with a capital C. And I guess that's because part of me feels like I don't know that I can, cut it. I just don't feel like I'll be able to do a good job there. I don't think that I can help. I probably can help. I mean, I think everybody can help, but I just don't feel like I'll be able to do it justice. So I just kind of don't want to get involved and kind of do a half-assed job there. So,
but what cause
that's
were
again a sense of
the other people we worked with? What were they into? Were they into
I think the question of alienation, right? So I think we were non-conformists, the two of us. I think we didn't really understand the system, and we didn't really play the system. I, for hell, sure, I didn't understand what the hell was going on.
not care about other people's profits?
Well, yes, I think that is there, but I think, in my case at least,
some kind of profit sharing, which was blatantly missing.
I had no clue what was going on most of the time. I just kind of went through.
Remember the tea break and the stretch break? They wouldn't give us a second cup of tea. I mean, that's the level.
I don't even remember that.
Of course, I remember that. In fact, I was telling Roger about that when I announced here that we have, we have 4 coffee breaks on our chat show. So
yeah,
of course,
I don't remember that.
Employer paying for our coffee because we run our own little airline and we are paying for our own coffee. But nor are we making you work to make that coffee for us.
Yeah, it's so, going back to some of the people there, I think for me, it was a question of just trying to make sense of the system so I could survive. It was more about survival than anything else. I wasn't really looking.
Interesting experience on your first day, when somebody made some sneering remarks at you. I still remember that.
I remember that. Tell me about it. I have his name, number,
Roger
everything.
About it. Roger would love to know about it.
So you know that I don't have an engineering degree, right? So day one, before we go to day one, down at the corner of Russell Street and Park Street, that big hoarding there, there was a board there that actually said 85% of our employees are engineers. Okay, that was the corporate line. That's what they were selling. So here I am. I joined, and first day we're going down for lunch. And the gentleman says, so which IIT are you from? I said, not from IIT. Oh, so REC? No, I'm not from REC. So BITS, one of the BITS? No. So where are you from? I said, I'm not an engineer. I have an accounting degree. And he just looked at me up and down like that. And he said, oh, looks like you're hiring almost anybody these days.
Roger, what do you think of that?
I mean, I feel pity for that person because
You feel
you
pity
know,
for that person, right?
yes, yeah. I mean, what should I say?
I
It
remember
was the stupidest thing ever. It has stuck in my head.
I've never heard
40 years.
anything like this, but I know I see I can clearly see the face of that person. I know which person that is. I was probably in the lift with you.
Yeah, I know who he is, and I know where he is.
Oh, you know where
Uh,
he is also. Wow.
so
I hope he's doing well.
I guess so.
You know, we are all
Don't really.
doing well. In the end, we all do well, right?
I've done okay, I think. I've leveraged my command of the English language to confuse and confound people and convince them to give me some money, and that's really ultimately that's what it is, right?
And well, you know, you've done something right if people call you to a talk show about alienation.
Yeah,
You
I think
definitely
that's.
done something right. Because we
I
are
mean,
never,
I'm a good alien.
never not aliens. There is always something that we feel pulled away from, right? Something we
I
question.
don't know. I don't know that I'm necessarily being pulled away from anything. I think it's just a question of, sitting in one spot and looking at the stuff around me and saying, what the hell has just happened? Or what's going on around me? I don't get any of it. And I think that's more
Yes,
like it. I'm not.
that is because you have evolved to that point.
I
Where,
don't know about
where
that.
it's not
I
irritating
don't know that I've evolved.
because we all evolve. What we
Maybe. I don't know. I haven't.
know, you seem to have evolved into a much calmer person, because I remember how you and I would both be grumbling a lot. Grumble,
Well,
grumble.
so in my last job, so the
Sitting in a
team.
corner and muttering, and so would I.
Well, actually, in my last job, the team I was in, I used to be called the CGO, Chief Grumpiness Officer.
Oh, that's how you became Grandpa Grumps.
Yeah, well, by that time I was, they were all in the 20s, and I was like, pushing 60 at that time. And I used to come in the morning, and all we did was do PowerPoints all day long, right? And I would just walk into the office and stand over there. I was always late. This is the old story. Always the last person in. And I would just walk in there and I said, I hate the smell of PowerPoint in the morning. And they would all look at me like, what is this guy saying? And it's from a movie, right? It's Robert, whatever his name is, from Good Morning Vietnam. I love the smell of napalm in the morning.
Oh, yes. I remember that line.
Yeah. Robin Williams.
Yes.
So
I
it was like I hate the smell of PowerPoint in the morning, and they used to always be like, "What is wrong with this guy? Like, what is he saying?" So yeah,
that was their oxygen, right?
Yeah, because they sucked up all the oxygen from the air, right? And that's what PowerPoint did to me, at least. It's like we're not able to talk to anybody without showing them a bloody PowerPoint. It used to drive me absolutely insane. It's like, okay, so when I started PowerPoint, it used to be like we were told, keep it simple. You have 5 bullet points and blank spaces. Just don't. Now I'm looking at these bloody PowerPoint. They're full of gizmos and dials, and there's green things and blue things and yellow things and all this literature. It's like a manual being put on there.
Looks
It's like,
like
what
a
are we
freaking
doing?
metal gig.
It was just costly. I mean, the experience was just driving me up the wall every morning. It's like, what are we doing this for? So, and not that, none of this any of this actually mattered, because you can write decks that went out to version 21, 28, 32, 36, and 18 months later, nobody's made a decision. And my personal feeling is that they didn't make a decision because A, they were too scared to make a decision. Two, they didn't really understand the PowerPoint, the massive decks that was being presented. And thirdly, the job was to produce PowerPoints, not to actually get anything done. That's my personal gut feel, is that we were employed making PowerPoints.
I love that audacity, and it's that audacity that alienates you from people.
I didn't get it. For me, it was like, can we just do something for a change, right? I mean, can we actually do something and not just write it down? Like, why are we going on writing the same thing down in 16 different ways? Like, when are we actually going to do it?
This reminds me so much of those god-awful meetings we suddenly find ourselves in at 9 o'clock at night. And then suddenly, the big boss suddenly says, anybody hungry?
Yeah, then go get some lunch, dinner, and come back.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
And those days, places would all close down, imagine.
Yeah, I
so all that, the power situation and stuff.
Anyway, we've deviated from where we were. So what was your next question?
Roger, shoot. Roger, because of the PowerPoint thing, because we were discussing the Excel thing the other day. I know what he is grinning about.
All right, so we are back.
Okay.
Yes, shoot, Ajesh.
I hope this kind of stabilizes. The problem is I got a gamer boy upstairs. And there's somebody watching TV 1 floor above me. So it's like, and it hasn't been the most stable internet. Anyway, what's the next question then?
All right, the next question is basically, at one point of time, you said that, you technically answered my second question, so I'm gonna move on to the third one, because I was about to ask you, how was alienation for you? Is it audible?
Yeah, everybody speaks generally.
Okay, so I was about to ask you, like, how was alienation during your period when you were working for all these 40 years? But you already said that you were sick of the smell of PowerPoint. So yeah, I get it.
Well, I think for me, the biggest alienation that I had was that I still cannot understand how people see a problem and don't want to solve it. And I think for me, that's the biggest thing. If I see a problem, and I'm there to solve it, I want to solve it. So let me solve it. And I think for me, the biggest challenge has been is to just letting it go. I struggle with that. Right, that's my biggest challenge.
All right. So the next question that I was about to ask you is basically that, you were already sick of the computer softwares and pointless work basically in front of a computer, in front of a screen, doing that for all these years. But then again, at a point of time, you said that you wish that you would have focused a bit more. So basically, do you think that this alien that you were was kind of, I mean, just after your university, you joined in this new norm, this new job, and this entirely new thing, again, new faces, again, new people. So do you think this alien was now rejecting this new norm because this new norm had dire consequences if you try to break the rules, because it was probably easier to break the rules back in your ages?
I think the rules were always existed, and I don't think that I was necessarily focused on breaking the rules. That wasn't my goal in life, was not to break rules. My goal in life has always been trying to understand what the rules were. It wasn't about breaking any rule. Just like, for God's sake, someone tell me what the rule is so I can actually follow them, right? And I think that has been the biggest challenge that I've felt in my life, is like not understanding what's going on around me, not being able to really, keep tabs on how other people are functioning in that uh, same space that I'm in. They seem to be able to manage, and I could not get myself around to thinking like, okay, how do I get this done? How do I not solve the problem? I mean, if you give me a thing to solve, I could solve it. I didn't have a problem with it. But the question of dealing with people, dealing with those mindsets, dealing with those attitudes, I still struggle with that. I can't sell myself into that kind of thing there. And I think that has been my biggest challenge, really. Yeah.
Yeah,
It's not about breaking the rules, it's about just what the
trying
hell
to
is going
understand the
on.
rules.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, my next question is very simple, and that is, uh, you know, y- I saw two different kinds of aliens, uh, throughout this span of people. One alien that was alienated from everything that was going around and um, taking cover in books and music and poetry, and then another alien that was not told what the rules were, trying to understand what the new rules are, what's going on all around. And how about now? How about the alienation? How would you know, look at it at this point in life?
I think the sense of not understanding what's going past me still exists. I don't think that has gone away. So I still struggle to kind of figure out how the world operates. Now, you, we can argue, and I've been told that I shouldn't worry about it. Um, but it just seems that other people seem to be able, move through life much more smoothly. They seem to know what to say, when to say, and whom to say it to. And I just lack that ability to be able to say the right thing at the right time to the right people. I just don't seem to understand um, how people talk or think or whatever it is. Maybe I overthink it, uh, but I do get that sense that I'm not getting across.
Do you think it's overthinking, or do you think you lack something, or like I said before, that guy who said that thing to you when you were walking about, I guess they're hiring anybody right now. That person, I said that I feel pity for that guy, because I feel that these people are, you know, I wouldn't say brainwashed because that would be too harsh a word, but then again, that
Conditioned,
they are ambition.
conditioned,
No, not
conditioned,
okay. Conditioned, yes, conditioned would be the right word. Yeah, they're conditioned into thinking into one linear line of thought. Everybody thinking the same thing and everybody working in the same way. Uh, when everybody should not. I mean, that's how life in general is. We're human beings. We are all different, but then again, slowly we are conditioned to be the same. you know Knowing when to say
Right.
what to say. It's like you already know the scenarios. It's nothing new to you. So I don't think you lack uh, anything, rather,
That's
uh
kind of you to say that. I still think though that maybe overthinking and overanalyzing it, because you kind of sometimes you just feel that just give up already. Just be yourself. Uh, but the problem is that being yourself, and I think I wrote an article about that as well, about being authentic, doesn't work. You can't be authentic and just say things. There's all the little white lies we think we have to say to get ahead. or to not give offense to people, or just be, polite, let them go. It's not that big a deal, kind of thing. Uh, so yeah, I mean, I think that I still believe that the advice some people give is that be yourself. I don't think it actually is going to work in real life. And you can't just blurt out whatever you want, whenever you want in front of people. It's going to get you into a lot of trouble. Um, I do believe that. Uh, I don't necessarily believe that that I understand what's going on, and I should not try to understand. I think it's incumbent upon anybody to understand what's happening around you. Now, am I
Have you frozen?
Yes, I think
He has frozen.
it's
But we will be patient and unfreeze him. Here you
and
Yeah, this is
yes.
and I've never seen my internet this bad. Uh,
it seems we have done something to your internet.
I don't know what it is. I shut down. Like my wife comes in sometimes to look at this, and I've got these two screens here with all these tabs open on it, and I've shut everything down, but it still hasn't helped. Yeah. So going back to the whole question of agility, we make a lot of noise about being agile, and all this whole thing is like the in vogue thing. Um, but agility is just a word for being, applying common sense. There's not really a lot of science to it. It's like, here's a problem, let's solve it. Uh, as opposed to getting into all these ceremonial. And I'm not a ritualistic guy. I am not religious. I'm not ritualistic. I don't believe in rituals. I believe here's a problem. Let's go solve it. Let's go fix it. You something, it doesn't work, you try something else, and you just move on until you fix it, right? So it's the same if you have a plumbing problem or electrical problem. What do? You go through line by line and look at each junction to see, do I still have power? Do I still have power? Oh, okay, yeah, this is where it broke, right? And that's what it is. That's what agility in my head is. And now, of course, you've got all these certifications and you got all the. Leave it. I don't have time for all that.
But it's pretty much simple as yeah, it's
We
pretty much
are
simple as you said.
overcomplicating
Yeah,
life, aren't we?
exactly. We are.
I think people have to make money as well. Don't forget, right? So if you are going to sell certifications,
Yes,
hey, you
people
got to
have to
write it
make
on.
money. They have to actually create it, as in,
Yep.
not just earn money, but make it up, make up some excuse to get some money.
Yep.
And that's
Exactly.
what it is.
Are to a large extent, there are people I would stuck in a thing somewhere, and I need someone to run the rescue effort. There are people I will trust and people I will not. I will not at that point look at the certifications, right?
Exactly.
And I don't care about your certification at that point in time. I only care about, do I trust you to get me back there and get me back safe? And there are people I know who don't have certifications I would trust to do so. And there are people with a whole whackload of certifications. Yeah, well,
I just love what you're saying. Oh, there's so much resonance there. Isn't there, Roger?
so much
Yeah,
angst there, right?
that's relatable to us as well, no?
Mm,
Because
mm,
as Ajay said that he chose the wrong course, so it's
mm,
possible that they probably chose the wrong course as well.
mm, mm,
Could
mm,
be, could
mm,
be,
mm.
could be. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think the thing for me was that, trying to be an accountant, wasting 3 years of my life trying to be an article clerk and all that crap. Uh, I was bored stiff. I knew it was not for me, but you were stuck there.
Mhm.
And
Yes.
as luckily for me, my sister, became a programmer, my older sister. And she used to bring all this stuff home, and I used to read it, and I said, I can get it. I can see those program listings, and it made sense. It sort of kind of made sense. Uh, and then I convinced my dad to fork out the money to go do a course.
Mm.
So I did that, And even then, it was like, yeah, it's basic. Yeah, I get it. Whatever, right? But then my brother in the States got me a subscription to Byte magazine, which was a big thing back in the day. So I used to get this Byte magazine, read about it, and I said, the Modular 2 and Pascal are going to change the world. And I said, I got to learn Pascal. And then RCC Jadavpur said, oh, we have a Pascal course. So I had to go back and convince my dad to fork out the 400 rupees or whatever, 450 rupees to it. He says, what the hell is Pascal? My dad was like a, large computers which filled a building, basically. That's the kind of guy he was. He didn't get this 8-bit CPM toys. Like, what is this? This is rubbish. And then Pascal? What is Pascal? Anyway, so I had to convince him. He paid. And I went over there and the guy said, groups, rings, fields. And I said, oh, mathematics. I did in grade 12. I get it. Eureka.
Yes, oh God.
And it was like, the lights just went boom like that. And, it was all that pointers and recursion, and you can feed it any random text and you can process it. And I said, oh my God, Pascal is actually going to change the world. I was like, of course it did, but that's another story.
Yeah, it did. Roger, in case, just so you know, the sister that Ajesh is talking about was my mentor in my first job.
Okay,
Really?
all right.
I didn't know that.
I told you about the lady now who was very good to me, and I learned a lot from her working with her.
Yes.
Ajesh is the same sister who brought code and which,
I had no idea. This is the first time hearing of it.
That's how I know Indra.
Oh my goodness. Wow. I gotta tell her this. I had no idea.
You had no idea. Well, that's it.
I really had no idea.
I met her at your place now when your father had passed. We were delighted to meet each other. We just knew each other for those 3 months. That was it. Before that company folded up. So
JMac.
Yes.
JMac, yeah. Yeah, she quit. She went off to the US and she worked for DEC for a bit. Yeah, then decided that she just wanted to not work at all. So she
and we sat and wrote identification division while riding S48. But then
but this is learning from you. I had no idea that you knew Indra at all.
Of course, I know her.
Wow.
You see, we have so many of these connections, really, when you think about it. I mean, and look what we are doing now. You're the first guest on the Roger-And-Chakra Show.
I'm honored.
So here's to good time.
Really, yeah. Yeah.
Shoot, Roger.
Yeah. So anyway, so that the whole Pascal thing.
I have lots to ask Roger, and you got to tell us about what Pascal did to your life.
To my life?
Yes. Or anybody's life, for that matter. Because you were just acting it all out right now, and I was getting excited.
No, so Pascal was in my head going to be the thing, right? So then one day I walked into the Wipro office. Someone told me Wipro was looking for programmers. So I walked into the office and I spoke with Elizabeth at the front desk. And I said, hey, I'm here to talk to the big boss. And she says, who the hell are you? And I said, my name is Ajesh and I'm here for a job and I want to talk to the big boss. So she went off to the boss's office and the boss looked around.
He had a way of doing that. I still remember that.
So I walked in and he said, so she says that you're here for a job. Like you have a lot of guts. You just walked in. I said, yeah, I have guts. What the hell? 3 years I've been writing code now, for myself and for clients all over the place. So I can hack it. So he said, are you sure would you be interested in doing an interview right now? You seem very confident. So I said, sure, bring it. So he called up this guy, I don't know, a guy called Dave. and which I didn't know this, that he was the toughest guy at the entire office.
Oh,
And
yeah.
the first question, yeah. And so he sat down next to me and he says, so do you know COBOL? And I said, COBOL? That rotten old thing, like my dad's thing? He's like, who cares? It's all Pascal Modular 2. And he says, we only work in COBOL. I said, okay, well, that went off to a great start, the interview. And then we argued for 2 hours, on a pad, drawing papers and drawings and crap like that. And eventually, long story short, they offered me a job. And that's how I got into, despite not having an engineering degree. So yeah, so Pascal did help in the sense that I was able to say, yeah, whatever. And then after I left Wipro, actually 2 years later, I was offered a job in a startup. Back in the day, startups were not known as startups. We didn't know the concept of startups. But it was a small company. They said, oh, join here. You'll have 60 people reporting to you and all that. I said, hey, great. Like I'm 25 years old. Like this is great. Or 26 or whatever it was. And it shut down, owing me 3 months pay. And then my wife was pregnant at that time. So it was like, wow, that's what Pascal did to me. So one day, their big thing was that they had found a way to reconcile, or they wanted someone to help them reconcile bank ledgers, right? So sub ledgers to bank general ledgers kind of thing. And nobody had been able to solve it. And they'd kind of figured out some way to do it, but they needed someone to write the code for it and organize it, which was me. So then I went in and I set this up, and then, they said, I wrote all the code, and I said, okay, fine, bring me the data. And then they said, which one do you want? And I looked around, my walls were full of these floppies, full of data. I kid you not. It was like my entire room was stacked with these things. And I was like, shit, what have I got myself into? And so they gave me a CD and a floppy, and I put it in. And it was COBOL code, right? So it died. I said, okay, corrupted floppy, try another one. That died. Try a third one. That died too. I was like, this is kind of weird. All my code's gone, and everybody, all the partners, all sitting over there waiting for this hotshot guy to solve this for them, and it died. So then I said, okay, fine, I need to figure out what it is. So I looked at the floppies themselves, and I said, I know why it won't work. How did he get this data on the floppy? And they said, oh, before you join, we got this other guy to do this thing, and it was entered on this big mini tape. We don't have a tape drive. So he told them, put the data on floppies. Any floppies around here? I said, I got it. So what you've got here, you've got streams and streams of data on the floppy without any record breaks. And there's no way in hell that I can read that. And they were like, what are you saying? Have you seen the data? I can't read it. It's not possible. You got to find some way to read all this data. So then the next day, one of the sales guys walks in flashing a floppy. See what I a C interpreter, not a compiler. So, I said, okay, fine, leave it aside. I'm working on Pascal. I'm going to use Pascal to process the data. And I couldn't make Pascal work. And okay, so I'm being paid here to solve this problem. This hasn't worked. I've worked all night. It hasn't worked. And then this guy shows me the C interpreter. I said, okay, well, let me see. I didn't know how to write C code. So I took that, and I had the Koenig and Ritchie on my lap and the C interpreter, and I sat and I wrote code all night. And the next morning, I was able to actually process some of the stuff in C. So that's how I learned C. And that's why Pascal was no use to me at all, because I couldn't make it work. So much for changing the world.
Yep. Exactly.
So alienated from COBOL, alienated from Pascal, welcome to C.
Welcome to C, yeah.
What happened next?
I
still have the Cunningham and Ritchie book somewhere.
I had it around somewhere as well, and then Philippakis and Casimir I lost somewhere.
But I left that long back. Possibly
Yeah.
20 years back, I was teaching C++ to these some of these students, and that was it. I've forgotten it myself.
Yeah, I think what happened after that was that we were writing COBOL code, we were maintaining stuff and all that stuff, and then one day we were really making money teaching people word star, supercal, that kind of thing, and we were pretending we were in business. We really didn't have much.
This was after the C episode.
After Wipro, after the startup had shut down.
And after the C episode. Come, Roger, very warm welcome. I hope your mic is okay. I was just shooting a question at Rajesh on alienation.
Okay.
Now, this is kind of personal. Like, see, his Shoshur Bari is in Chandan Nagar.
Yes.
Well, that sounds like a good bit more of alienation to me.
For me?
Yes. I mean, that's again choosing an alien.
In many ways, yes. In many ways, no. I would say that there is the background is very different. But I think the thought processes are very similar. And I think one of the things that, some of our friends have noted is that we seem to be able to swap ourselves in and out. And we're both able to do things. So if one is missing, and actually the other one just seamlessly takes over, kind of thing. And I think that comes from having a similar mindset. I joke about this, that we are both, highly analytical, A-type control freaks. We have spreadsheets for things, like we cannot go on holiday without major amounts of spreadsheets being planned out with color codes and stuff like that. Like color codes are mine. She doesn't care what the color. I have to color code them.
You have spreadsheets. It's only PowerPoint you're alienated from.
I hate Excel too. I hate the entire Office suite, but I hold a special place in my heart for PowerPoint.
Then why on earth are you control freaks doing this with Excel?
Well, it was either that or Access. And I think that is kind of going overboard a bit.
Oh, well. That's very interesting. Like, so
yeah, I think to go back to that question about whether it was a different kind of, yes, very different. When you go back to my family, which is quite unorthodox. I mean, we didn't really have any kind of major, how do I describe it? We didn't have a sort of a structure that most families would have. Like we did have the hierarchy of siblings and stuff like that.
yes,
but we don't call each other these.
Siblings, which is, in a way, you get exposure to so many generations, which I think it helps.
There's quite a few siblings.
Our child raising, through so many generations, and the parents also keep changing through that.
Yeah, so we've not really been used to the hierarchy. We call each other by name. It's not that, whatever the kind of thing. I think except for the eldest sister, who's known as Didi for everyone, everybody else is known by name.
The top. She's
the top of the heap, yeah. Top of the heap, yeah. Okay. So she's the only one who has a honorific attached to her. She's known as Didi. But everybody else is kind of, we just call each other by name. There isn't a kind of a special thing. And then going into that household, though, they do have a stronger background in, in the how do I describe this? The pujas that you do, the ceremonies that you conduct, the hierarchy of people and how you call them, so and so Mashi, so and so Pishi, and Didi, Dada, all that stuff is there. So that is a bit of a learning curve. And the early days, I would go to the house, and then the house is basically like there's a courtyard in the middle, and then these 3 or 4 wings, right, for different parts of the family. And because my Bengali was non-existent, and as a first Jamai, that also all Bengali Jamai, I was an alien.
Yes,
Right?
yes, that's
So
what
I would sit on that. So I would sit over there, and then assorted Pishis, Mashis, I didn't know who the hell they were. They would come and say, "Do you want tea?" I said, "Yeah, sure." So I just sat over there all day long drinking tea. Like I didn't know who these people were half the time. But yeah, that was my early days.
Yes.
I mean, even if they told me who their names were, I would not recall it like 2 days later, right? So there's too many of them.
There were too many of them. But then maybe they found too many of y'all also. They
Yeah,
would
but see,
Rita would have
but
got confused with so many of
my
you
siblings, I
brothers
don't
and
think.
sisters.
Yeah, see, they didn't come into contact with my siblings, right?
Okay.
I was the one who went to Chandanagar. So I was going into an alien situation kind of thing. But, my siblings were all scattered by the time I was this thing. There were some people in the US, some in wherever, some wherever. So we'd all gone in different places. So there wasn't a sense of the joint family. We never had really a joint family
You have 2 after you,
system.
right? You have 2 siblings after you. One. A brother.
Yeah. A brother, yeah, who's 7 years, I think, younger than me. So that's the other thing I tell people. I joke about the fact that I'm an only child in a family of 9 kids because I've got a sister, 2 brothers, 4 sisters, and then a 7-year younger brother, right? So who became part of the sisters because they looked after him and they mothered him.
Okay, yes, yes. They would have been mothering him. But
the age difference was.
I've met your mother, and I've seen your father. So I have a mental picture, and I've seen a couple of brothers also. I think I've seen your older brother. He came once to JMAC.
And there it goes again.
You dare freeze again. He's doing it again. He's doing it again. Ajesh, come back. Dear Lord.